Exxon Valdez tanker spill. On March 24, 1989, one of the worst environmental disasters in history occurred. The Exxon Valdez, a large oil tanker, ran aground in Prince William Sound, Alaska. The ship was carrying over 50 million gallons of crude oil. When it hit the Bligh Reef, the hull was torn open, and oil began to spill into the water. The spill happened late at night. The weather was cold, and the sea was calm. The crew had been working for many hours. They were tired, and some of them had been drinking. The captain, Joseph Hazelwood, was not on the bridge at the time of the accident. He had left a junior officer in charge. The spill spread quickly. The oil covered the surface of the water and began to wash up on the shore. The area was home to many fish, birds, and marine mammals. The oil was toxic, and it killed thousands of animals. The disaster shocked the world. The Exxon Valdez was a very large ship. It was over 300 meters long and could carry a huge amount of oil. The ship was owned by Exxon, one of the largest oil companies in the world. The crew had been trained to handle emergencies, but they were not prepared for this. When the ship hit the reef, the crew tried to stop the spill. They closed the valves and pumped water into the tanks. But it was too late. The oil was already leaking into the sea. The crew called for help, but the response was slow. The spill could have been smaller if the crew had acted faster. They could have used the ship's emergency equipment. But they didn't. The oil continued to spread, and the damage grew worse. The oil spill had a devastating impact on the environment. Prince William Sound is a beautiful and ecologically rich area. It is home to many species of fish, birds, and marine mammals. The oil killed thousands of animals and destroyed their habitats. The spill also affected the local economy. Many people in the area depend on fishing and tourism. The oil contaminated the water and made it unsafe for fishing. Tourists stopped coming to the area because of the pollution. The cleanup effort was massive. Thousands of workers were hired to clean the beaches and the water. They used skimmers, booms, and dispersants to remove the oil. But the damage was already done. The spill had a long-lasting impact on the environment and the community. The Exxon Valdez oil spill was caused by several factors. One of the main causes was human error. The captain and the crew made mistakes that led to the accident. The captain had been drinking, and he was not on the bridge when the ship hit the reef. Another cause was the lack of proper equipment. The ship did not have enough lifeboats or emergency supplies. The crew was not prepared for a disaster of this size. The spill could have been prevented if the company had followed safety regulations. Exxon had cut costs and ignored warnings about the risks. They had not trained the crew properly or provided them with the necessary equipment. The Exxon Valdez oil spill had a huge impact on the oil industry. After the disaster, new laws and regulations were introduced to prevent similar accidents. Ships were required to have double hulls to reduce the risk of spills. Companies were also required to improve their safety standards. They had to train their crews better and provide them with the necessary equipment. The cost of oil transportation increased, but the risk of spills decreased. The spill also changed public opinion about the oil industry. People became more aware of the environmental risks of oil production and transportation. They started to demand cleaner and safer energy sources. The cleanup of the Exxon Valdez oil spill was one of the largest environmental cleanup efforts in history. Thousands of workers were involved in the operation. They used a variety of methods to remove the oil from the water and the shore. One of the methods was skimming. Workers used boats with special equipment to collect the oil from the surface of the water. They also used booms to contain the oil and prevent it from spreading. Another method was the use of dispersants. These chemicals break down the oil into smaller droplets, making it easier to clean. However, dispersants can also harm marine life, so their use was controversial. The Exxon Valdez oil spill had a long-term impact on the environment. Even after the cleanup, the oil remained in the ecosystem for many years. It affected the food chain and caused long-term damage to wildlife. The spill also had a psychological impact on the local community. Many people lost their jobs and their way of life. They felt betrayed by Exxon and the government. The disaster led to a series of lawsuits. Exxon was sued by the government, environmental groups, and local residents. The company had to pay billions of dollars in fines and compensation. The Exxon Valdez oil spill is a reminder of the dangers of oil transportation. It shows that even a small mistake can have catastrophic consequences. The disaster led to important changes in the oil industry, but the risk of spills still exists. The spill also highlighted the importance of environmental protection. It showed that we need to be more careful with our natural resources. We need to find cleaner and safer ways to produce and transport energy. The Exxon Valdez oil spill is a lesson for all of us. It reminds us that we have a responsibility to protect the environment. We must learn from past mistakes and work together to prevent future disasters. The Exxon Valdez oil spill also had a global impact. It raised awareness about the environmental risks of oil spills. People around the world started to demand stricter regulations and better safety standards. The disaster also inspired new research into oil spill prevention and cleanup. Scientists developed new technologies to detect and respond to spills more quickly. They also studied the long-term effects of oil spills on the environment. The Exxon Valdez oil spill is a tragic event, but it also led to positive changes. It showed that we can learn from our mistakes and make the world a safer place. Today, the Exxon Valdez oil spill is remembered as one of the worst environmental disasters in history. It serves as a reminder of the importance of environmental protection and the need for responsible energy production. The disaster also showed the power of community action. After the spill, local residents, environmental groups, and government agencies worked together to clean up the area and hold Exxon accountable. The Exxon Valdez oil spill is a lesson for all of us. It reminds us that we must be careful with our natural resources and work together to protect the environment. We must learn from the past and strive for a cleaner, safer future.